Hello and good morning to you, Ekiti Kete Shalafia Lewa. Wọ́n ní tí ó bá di pé ó tó ọjọ́ méjì ó tó ọjọ́ mẹ́ta ẹ̀kọ́ àti là ń kí ara wa ṣé àlàáfíà ni mo bá yín. Àsìkò bí ojú ọjọ́ ṣe rí lánàá òjò rọ̀ lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ àárọ̀ yìí náà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé atẹ́gùn tútù atẹ́gùn àlàáfíà ló ń fẹ́. Mo dẹ̀ ṣe ládùúrà wípé atẹ́gùn àlàáfíà ni ó máa fẹ́ lọ́ọ̀dẹ gbogbo wa pátápátá. Ẹ kú ìyálẹ̀ta mo kí yín káàbọ̀ sórí ètò NDLEA Water Half Hour lórí Midas Radio 90.5 FM Adó-Èkìtì. Gbogbo ọjọ́ Tuesday bíi eléyìí tó bá di aago 11:30 ni a máa ń mú ètò yìí wá sí etí ìgbọ̀yín. And lọ́sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ a máa ń sọ ohun tó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú drug remand reduction, drug supply reduction. Kí ni ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀? Ó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú bí a ṣe ń dẹ́kun ìwà lílò, títà, rírà, fífúnni, ríranilọ́wọ́ nípa gbogbo ohun tó ń jẹ́ oògùn olóró ní gbogbo ọ̀nà tí ó bá lè fi farahàn ní agbègbè wa. Mo sì kí yín káàbọ̀ lọ́jọ́ tòní. Bí ẹ ti mọ̀ wípé àjọ NDLEA Ekiti State Command ni àjọ máa ń mú ètò yìí wá sí etí ìgbọ̀yín pẹ̀lú ìrànlọ́wọ́ láti iléeṣẹ́ Káyọ̀dé Adámọ̀lẹ́kun Foundation tí wọ́n kówó lẹ̀ láti máa mú ètò ìtanilólobó yìí wá sí etí ìgbọ̀yín ní gbogbo ìgbà. Mo sì ń dúpẹ́ wípé ẹ darapọ̀ wá lákọ̀tún lọ́jọ́ tòní. A very good morning to you, Ekiti Kete. Thanks for joining us on NDLEA Water Half Hour. This is the program where we talk about drug sensitization to prevent drug abuse in our own environment and how to live healthy lives as individuals, families, and community. The problem of drug abuse will not just affect the user, it will affect the community. It will affect everyone involved. It will affect all of us. And it will definitely affect the leaders of tomorrow who are our youth. And as such, I'm asking you to stay tuned this morning as I welcome NDLEA State Command on the program, NDLEA Water Half Hour. It's good to welcome you on the program this morning, my amazing guest.
Thank you. Thanks for having us once again.
Thank you for always coming. The person that you just heard his voice is Officer Ifeoluwa Fabiyi, who is an assistant Superintendent of Narcotics at the NDLEA State Command. Is also the PRO of NDLEA Ekiti State Command. We have a surprise guest in our studio this morning. She's always around, but today she's going to be talking about drug abuse in schools and how to prevent that. A very good morning to you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, sir.
Right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Of course, I'm going to be doing our own introduction very, very shortly. This is NDLEA Water Half Hour on NDLEA program sponsored by Káyọ̀dé Adámọ̀lẹ́kun Foundation on Midas Radio 90.5 FM Adó-Èkìtì. My name is Oluwasegun Adeleke. They call me the Media Health Advocate. Today, we want to talk about reduction and prevention of drug abuse in schools. Don't forget that we are live on Facebook at Midas Radio 905. We are live on Facebook at Midas Radio 905. You can watch us live and direct. You can watch us live and direct on Facebook at Midas Radio 905. I'm going to start from Officer Fabiyi this morning. But before I do that, let me go on this very short break. And right after that, we'll be back to kickstart the program in its full course. NDLEA Water Half Hour. Ẹ jẹ́ kí a sáré gbọ́ ìkéde yìí ní kíákíá.
Kòkòrò kẹ́sùn. Kábámọ̀rọ̀ ni wísí. Uruwẹ́rẹ́ rẹ̀ yíyàjọ́ ni sùn lóru. Àjọ kó gbógun ti àṣà gbígbé àti lílo egbògi olóró lálẹ́. NDLEA. Ẹ̀ka tùpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì lẹ́mọ̀ ìfọ́rẹ́rẹ́. Àṣà gbígbìn, títà, ìlòkulò àti ṣíṣe fàyàwọ́ egbògi olóró. Ṣé ògidì fún gbé ayé ọmọ ẹ̀dá? Tukọ̀ bámọ̀ dààmú lórúkọ méjì. Egbògi olóró lé mímu. Àti gbígbẹ́rẹ̀. Ó yóò rán ni lé ọ̀. Tàbí kẹsàn ni líú. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni yóò rán ni lọ́rùn àpàpàǹdodo. Òdì abalẹ̀ yìí. Àjọ NDLEA lùpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì mú kẹ́sì ọ̀dọ́ langba. Lákùnrin àti lóbìnrin. Àgbàlagbà àtọmọdé lùpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì. Wí gẹ́dẹ́gẹ́dẹ́ ní kò yẹra kan èyíkéyìí ẹ̀yà egbògi olóró bíi ugbó, ògìgò òyìnbó tramadol, rafnol, codeine àti ọ̀múrìn bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́kọ́rọ́ ìṣẹ̀mí ẹlẹ́lẹ́ kúkúrú. Yàrá tí o ní ọjọ́ ọ̀la rẹ ṣe pàtàkì kún ẹbí rẹ, àwùjọ kọ ẹ̀yà, àtúwọ́ ti kára rẹ gan. Bẹ́ẹ̀ lù pínlẹ̀ rẹ Èkìtì. Ó ní ìlàkìtì ọjọ́ iwájú rẹ kò ṣeé tọ́ka sí. Àjọ NDLEA ní ṣàgbéǹde ètò kọ̀ọ̀kan pè ní War Against Drug Abuse. Wádà òwòkọ̀ bá ti yá tẹ̀bá. Adriwọ̀ lékiri máa ń gẹ́.
lọ́jọ́ ọjọ́ sí ọmọdé ìgbójú.
You're welcome back on NDLEA What I Have Hour this morning, and we are focusing on the prevention of drug abuse, substance abuse in school environment. This day, we are focusing on tertiary institutions on the program. Let me start this morning. I introduced one of my guests who is an assistant superintendent of narcotics, who is the PR of NDLEA State Command, and also let me introduce our second guest. Name is Hope Okpanachi. I beg your pardon, I should have mentioned that earlier, but it's never too late to introduce our guest this morning. Once again, it's good to have you in the studio, Officer Hope.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming. She's an assistant superintendent of narcotics too from the NDLEA. Let me start my questioning this morning and my research with a bit to sensitize the public on substance abuse prevention among tertiary school students or in tertiary institutions. I have some guys on my street, the street that I used to live, actually, not so far from here. And for about 6 years, some of these guys, they came into school as early as about 2019, and they are yet to graduate. They're not studying medicine. Kì í ṣe medicine on study, kì í ṣe engineering on ṣe. Some of them in social science, some of them in basic sciences. And I'm surprised that at the long run, these guys start to involve in some of these substance abuse. You see them drinking, see them smoking. These are socially acceptable anyways. But I feel some of them start to look very horribly. Handsome guys before, and now they start to look very, very terrible. And I can imagine that it may not be far from substance abuse. Well, let me start this one by asking you, substance among students of tertiary institutions. Let's talk about it. What are the factors that are responsible for this? And in your own work and experience in Ekiti State, how has it been?
Thank you so much for the questions. Let me start from where you stopped. I remember that time when I was during my undergraduate at the University of Ilorin. We had some students in my faculty. We call them overgraduate students.
Overgraduate students?
Yes, they are no longer undergraduates. They are not graduates, but they are still in school. Like you said, some of them will be in school for 7-8 years without graduating, and they are not studying medicine or any of the engineering courses, because some of them, when you find out that they have been rusticated, some of them have been expelled, but they refuse to go on. So they remain on campus, and for them to get along, they begin to get involved in all these illicit activities like drug related activities in school environment. So they begin to sell because, quote unquote, they are no longer under the leadership of the authority of the school. So there's little the school can do to them. So we have people like that. Now, when we're talking about substance abuse in tertiary institutions generally, the problem is a big one. It didn't start from when they enter university. Some of these things, some of them have been exposed from way back as when they were in primary school, some secondary schools, because we've seen primary school students who've gotten report from heads of primary school students, head of primary schools, that some of their students were caught with this, caught with that. So they carry this thing with them till when they get to an institution, and then the thing escalates. It becomes a bigger issue. So we have problem in some institutions, especially institutions where they don't have strong policies against substance abuse. There are some institutions that have zero tolerance to substance abuse. So the prevalence of it in those institutions is not that much. But there are some that they don't have very strong policies. So we have seen it in different schools, and we also have some schools who have collaborated with NDLEA in the past. For instance, like Afe Babala University is a strong partner of NDLEA in the fight against substance abuse. In their school, we have WADA club that is functioning. So from time to time, we collaborate, carry out programs in their schools, and when we come across students who have suffering from some of these issues, drug-related issues, we collaborate to look out for how to help them.
So what you're saying is that there's a need for, not just drug prevention sensitization, but also drug awareness sensitization
Yes.
and drug support systems
Yes.
in higher institutions. Let me come to Officer Hope this morning. Once again, it's good to have you in our studios on Matters Radio 90.5 FM. And I know that our listeners, they'll be looking forward to hearing from this particular Officer Hope Okwanachi, who is an Assistant Superintendent of Narcotics 2 from NDLEA. The question to you is, there definitely must be some factors responsible for this, and particularly in school environment. What are some of these predisposing factors to substance abuse, especially among students, even in secondary schools? Then we'll now take it to another level. Over to you now.
Okay. When we are talking about predisposing factors, we are talking about the reasons why students abuse drug. We are talking about why, or the motivating factor to why they abuse drug. One of them is
family issues.
one of them is, yes, family disintegration, lack of love. And then when these students find themselves in a family that the parents are no longer together, or the parents have gone through a divorce case, there's this lack of love, and then the result to taking drugs to find comfort there.
Exactly.
And then lack of parental supervision is one of the reasons why students abuse drug, because when the parents are not there to watch after them, to guide them, to tell them what to do and what not to do, they begin to take things. And then peer pressure is one of the major factors why they abuse drugs, because youth and students, they tend to find themselves in a cycle where they are influenced. And if one person in the cycle is abusing drug, there is a very large tendency that everybody in that cycle, everybody in that group will start taking drugs because they have influence on themselves. Another reason why students abuse drug is because they feel there's always a need to upgrade themselves academically, and then they go the wrong way. They go the wrong way by taking stimulants. And then when we're talking about stimulants, they take socially acceptable drugs. So it's very possible that they don't even know that these things are dangerous to their health, but they take them. They take energy drinks to help them stay awake because they want to read for longer hours.
And unknown to them.
Yes, it damages their system, their central nervous system, and predispose them. Over time, they become addicted to these substances.
This thing you just said now made me remember that I had a friend while I was in school. He's from Mikiti as well, and he's a very bright student. Went to the same institution, and they belong to these, die-hard study group. You know what I mean by die-hard study group? These guys that when it's 2 weeks before exam, you see them in school. They are residents in school. They just go home to have their baths and come back to school. They had a ride, and they were always jacking, which was, jacking was applaudable. But some of the things that were involved around that involves, alcohol consumption, abuse of drugs, using of drugs in excessive, not even hard drugs this time around, okay? But some of these things that will stimulants that will help them to stay awake.
Self-medication too.
So these are some of the issues that I've witnessed. And at that time, I did not know that there were even drug abuse. And I see that it's very common around us. Let me come to Officer Ifeoluwa this morning. In your own experience, what are some of these things that you have observed as well?
Thank you. Like you said, you have friends back then in school who were doing this thing, but you didn't classify it as drug abuse. When we go out, we tell people one of the major factors that predispose a lot of people to this thing is ignorance, lack of accurate information. People are taking substances that they don't know have an adverse effect on their health. People are taking things that's so common around them, like what my colleague mentioned now, the energy drinks. This thing is socially acceptable. The environment permits it. The law of the land permits it.
But energy drinks, really, they are not alcoholic. They don't contain drugs that will make you misbehave. It's just going to help you to stay awake.
All right. Let me point something to you. The most active, or one of the most active chemical
ingredients
chemical in kola nut is caffeine. One of the most active is caffeine. The major thing that is used to produce energy drink is caffeine. So an individual that is taking kola nut, which is a socially acceptable drug, and the person that is taking all this energy drink, they are in the same category. Now, if you just pick your phone and Google search the effect of caffeine, large dosage of caffeine in the body system, you find out that these things have long-term adverse effects. So yes, energy drink help you to stay awake, but it will have to alter the normal body functioning to do that.
You mean when it is now being abused, right?
When it is not being abused.
Because I like us to, put the line there. Because some persons take energy drinks because they have to just stay active because of the work they do, maybe their fitness instructors.
Let me shed more light. If you go to hospital, maybe the person was admitted. After a while, the person is recovering. The doctor will say, okay, take Lucozade boost. Doctor prescription.
Well, take some,
Yes, take some.
Something to make you active. Some energy booster.
Something to make you active. Something to help you to eat while you are recuperating. But you find out that these people that are taking this in, they are not recuperating from anything. They are taking it because they want to. Now, if you ask people that want to take, they tell you they want to take it because they want to stay awake. So because you want to stay awake, you need to alter the way your body is supposed to function normally to stay awake. Or because they want to work for longer hours, so they will have to take it
higher
They need to take something to alter the way. Normally, the way our body functions is when you are tired, your body will tell you need to rest. But because you don't want to, for whatever, we've arrested individual. Like there was a time we arrested one bricklayer. He said if he has not taken these things, he cannot do the normal work he's supposed to do in a day.
Let me put a very clear line there again. I believe you're talking about arresting now. You're not talking about energy.
No, not energy drink. He was arrested with not just energy drink. He was arrested with cannabis sativa with tramadol 250 milligram, which is not permitted by law. So when we were asking, he now mentioned other things he takes. So okay, why do you take this thing? I take it because I want to use it to work.
Let's come back to schools.
All right, now back to school. So we see these things in the school environment: ignorance, lack of accurate information. People don't know the danger some of these things will cause to their body, will cause to their health, and that's why they take it. Another thing is, see, our society, there are some music that is played all around us on radio, in the club, that motivate and influences people, that supports people taking substances. I'm on radio, I don't want to sing some songs, and these are songs that our young people are listening to. So one way they want to be like this person, and because this person is their idol, quote unquote, their celebrity whom they love, they want to copy their lifestyle. And in copying their lifestyle, you see a friend will begin to influence his friend through peer pressure. So peer pressure is another major factor. In fact, I would say it's one of the most critical factors among students of higher institution, because you find out that this person belongs to this group, like you said, a special club where they do things in the same way. So if you want to belong to that club, you have to take certain things that they are taking. I've seen videos online where during birthday celebration, before you gain entrance into that avenue where they want to have the birthday, you must show them your tongue. And in showing them your tongue, it means you must have taken, there's a substance called ecstasy drug, Molly. When you see them, their tongue will either be blue or red or other color. This thing comes in different color. So if you belong to that cycle, before you can gain entrance to whatever they want to do, you must have taken something. So peer pressure is another major factor. And then the environment too matters. There are some school environments that have a very weak system that prohibits substance abuse. Okay, if you have a school where you don't have drug control task force, or you don't have system in place to checkmate all these kind of activities, especially in collaboration with our office or other sister security agencies, you find out that these things becomes a normal thing on campus.
Now, let me quickly come to Officer Hope this morning. We are still talking about substance abuse in school environment. earlier we started with tertiary institutions, and they believe that students who are in tertiary institutions should be mature enough to make some choices by themselves. But looks like substance and drug abuse will definitely alter your thinking faculty. Now, what are some of the impacts, some of the disadvantages of substance abuse, particularly to students in secondary schools and tertiary institutions from your end?
Okay, when we are talking about drug abuse, it's not only limited to students in secondary school. It affects even students in the it also affects students in the university too. So, for students that abuse drug, it has a very adverse effect on their education and their academic performance. One of them is tardiness. When a student starts coming late to school and then is no more regular, is not keeping to time, when lectures are being fixed, when time for lessons are being fixed, and then he or she is coming late, it will affect the overall performance of the student. Another reason is depression. Some of these substances they abuse are depressants, and then after taking it, they become depressed, and then they are no longer themselves. When they should be active in class, they are no longer active. You see a student in class while the teacher or the lecturer is doing his job, you see them sleeping or they're engaging themselves in other things. Generally, people that abuse drug, they prioritize taking that drug above any other thing.
Yes.
So it's generally a big challenge, and it affects how they perform in school.
All right. I believe Officer Ife wants to add one or two things to what she mentioned already as we, wind down on the program for the morning.
Yes, another thing this thing causes is it causes problem for their future, because health-wise, you find out that they would have done so much damage to their health that at the end of the day they may not even be able to finish the program they registered for. And
back to where we started.
Yes, back to where we started. And if by adventure they are unfortunate to be arrested by NDLEA and they are prosecuted, there's something in NDLEA they call visa clearance, drug-free certificate. If you want to travel to some country, they'll tell you to go to NDLEA to go and get those certificates. If you have been prosecuted, you can't get the certificate from NDLEA. So whatever opportunity you have outside the country will be lost. So that's how when we go out, we tell them, please stay away from these things. So it will not just affect them now in the moment, it will also affect them in the future.
Thank you very much, Officer Ifeoluwa, and of course, Officer Hope Okpanachi this morning. I remember one time I had Dr. Adeoye, and was talking about, it was actually on the International Drug Day, which was, I think, June
26th.
June 26th, and he mentioned biopsychosocial. I would never forget biopsychosocial. These are some of the things that you've mentioned. Drug abuse is something that we must all join hands to prevent. And awareness is key. One thing that was mentioned in the program today that really struck my heart is the fact that some persons don't even know. The misinformation they cannot identify. I remember a couple of weeks ago we came on the show to identify how cannabis sativa looks like. Some persons have it being grown in their backyard, but they don't know. So awareness is key. Beyond sensitization, beyond effort to prevent, awareness must be made on the impact, the factors responsible, and how to curb drug abuse among students. We have to go this morning. Your BY is in 15 seconds each.
All right. Like you said, last year, Ekiti State Command of NDLEA was given an award by the agency as the command with outstanding performance in drug demand reduction. Drug demand reduction means awareness and sensitization. So NDLEA Ekiti State Command, we have done so much, and we've been to almost all the secondary school within this ADO and almost all the tertiary institutions in Ekiti, creating awareness to the dangers and the evil effect of this substance abuse.
Thank you very much, Officer Ife. Your parting word on the program, very quickly. Your parting word, your own, Officer Hope.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate what you are doing here. We appreciate the fact that you are part of our fight against drug abuse. And we hope that we reach enough people as we can and save a lot of people from abusing drugs.
All right. Thank you very much, Officer Hope and Officer Ifeoluwa. Thank you very much to Kayode Adamoleko Foundation for sponsoring this program. This is NDLEA Wadafa. We'll make a return next week, Tuesday, at 11:30 in the morning like this. My name is Oluwasegun Adeleke. Call me the Media Health Advocate. I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
You'd like to see